Whether or not Lewis Hamilton deserved his 8th world title back in 2021 will be a discussion that many F1 fans will have as long as they live. And because of that, there will always be an unspoken rivalry between Lewis and Red Bull's Max Verstappen for as long as they are both racing in Formula 1. And now that the slate is wiped clean again for the 2023 season, will Lewis have a better shot at redemption this time around? Or have we really entered the Max Verstappen era? Well, stick around to find out then. But before we get started, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get to talking about this thrilling rivalry. Red Bull's Max Verstappen has won 2 F1 championships in a row. One in a controversial win, as mentioned in the intro, against Hamilton at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and the other this past season when the team's finances were the biggest story in F1. As for Hamilton, he's 38 now, and the clock is ticking for him to win his record-setting 8th World Championship. And according to Red Bull's chief engineer Paul Monahan, Lewis's chances of winning his 8th title this season are getting slimmer each time Max gets into a Formula 1 car. Max is technically extremely gifted, Monahan said. He did a lot of work as a youngster, often guided by his father, and you can see the legacy of that. He knows what he's talking about within the car, and he knows what he wants. With his engineers, they know how to deliver a car that he finds nicely balanced, easy to drive. Well, not necessarily easy to drive, but drivable. It looks after its tires well enough that he can manage a situation. If you look at his record over the past seasons he's been with us, it's stunning. He wouldn't achieve that if he wasn't an exceptional driver. Can he improve? Yes, of course he can. He might not thank me for saying that. I think there are areas he can get a little bit better. He'll dig into himself and think what he could do better for a season, and it's up to us to give him a car to go and demonstrate those skills. Many other analysts and pundits suggest that Lewis's days of glory are past him and that he might not be able to match his past successes. Last season, Hamilton wasn't able to challenge Max Verstappen for the title because Mercedes wasn't as fast as the top teams. In 2022, the 7-time world champion had his worst ever finish in the Drivers' Championship, coming in 6th place. He was also beaten by his new teammate George Russell, who had a lead over Hamilton early on in the season, a lead that Lewis wasn't able to catch up with by season's end. Hamilton couldn't win a single Grand Prix throughout the entire season, which is something that's never happened to him before during his 16 years in the sport. According to a poll done by Express Sport, 43.3% of people think Hamilton will end his career with between 103 to 110 race wins. Currently, the Mercedes star has 103 wins, so if he wants another title, he's probably going to need more than 110. The British driver did win the championship in 2008 with just 5 wins, but now there's way more races in a season. Recently, Hamilton won 11 races to become the champion in 2018, 2019, and 2020. The doubt against Hamilton's capability to win another title has reached such a peak that even F1 legend Mika Hakkinen himself sees George outperforming the 7-time world champion yet again this season. To refresh everyone's memory, George was the one who won the team its only race win and their only pole position in 2022. And this is exactly what has led Hakkinen to say, "What he did in Brazil, it was brilliant. The team improved the car massively so they could win races. Is he able to continue that trend? If he can keep up with that experience, what he has in Mercedes, and experience what he has in Formula 1 in general, he can keep Lewis behind. It's really impressive, because Lewis is incredible personality, incredible driver. So if George can go for it, then I think England can look like, wow, what a driver we have." But the F1 legend would add a caveat to his statement, as he is well aware of George's shortcomings as a driver as well. See, the 24-year-old British driver still does make some questionable decisions at times, A case in point was his collision with Ferrari's Carlos Sainz in Texas and turning into Haas's Mick Schumacher in Singapore. Hakkinen would say that he hopes that Russell has grown a little bit wiser this season, a possibility that excites the Finnish legend. The list is unbelievably long when you start fine-tuning every aspect of being a racing driver, Hakkinen says. But he has already a massively long career behind him, talking about karting, all those other categories, and his knowledge of data, his capabilities handling the car in extreme situations. I am confident he has all the potential to be a great driver, potentially becoming a world champion. Another blow to Lewis's chances of winning his 8th title is the departure of the team's head of strategy, James Vowles, to be Williams' new team principal. The 43-year-old English engineer is taking over from Jost Capito, who left the team last month after 2 years and ended last year in last place in the constructors' table. Vowles leaving Mercedes is a bit of a bummer for them, but it also makes his old boss, Toto Wolff, more powerful in the cutthroat world of F1. Williams, who use Mercedes engines, is being called by some as the Mercedes B team, which makes sense, since Mercedes was the one who announced Vowles' move to the media on a Zoom call this past week. They both said that Mercedes will be just fine without Vowles, because he already set up a team of 9 people specifically for strategy, and Mercedes have not always been as good as Red Bull in that department. Vowles broke the news of his departure to Hamilton over the phone on Thursday night. "That's amazing for James," Wolff reported of the star driver's reaction. Vowles added, Yes, those were the first words that came out of his mouth. He was not insulting me or telling me that he's disappointed. Quite the opposite. In fact, everyone at Mercedes has been incredibly happy for me." And, as for Lewis, the 7-time world champion still has another year in his contract left, and many are waiting on whether or not he will be extending his stay in the sport. While we have reported a few videos back that there aren't any ongoing talks between him and Toto at the moment, the Mercedes team principal is confident that a contract is only a few hours away. And now that we're only a month away before Mercedes unveils their W14, Toto would give an update about Lewis's contract and say, "We have a full year to go," said Wolff. "We're so aligned. In the last 10 years, our relationship has grown that it's just a matter of him physically being back in Europe, sticking our heads together, wrestling a bit, and then leaving the room with white smoke after a few hours." And there you have it, guys. So will Lewis get his 8th title before it's all said and done? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.